In this video, I'm going to be recreating a designer dress for a lot less. This is my recreation back here. The original design is by a brand called Criss, and they are sort of like a luxury bridal wear brand. I saw the design on Pinterest and I loved it straight away. So I spent about £35 on fabric, zips and everything. And I think the original design would probably be at least £1,000 because I checked on their website and dresses were around $1,200. So yeah. Anyways, in this video I'm going to be showing you how to put the patterns together, and in the next tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to cut and sew this gown design. I hope you guys are keeping safe. I hope you're staying well. I've just told myself that for the next couple of weeks I'm just going to keep making garments, exercising, staying physically, mentally and spiritually alert, because this is such a very delicate, uncertain time for everyone. So I hope this video, I don't know, gives you something to feel good about. And if you want to recreate yourself, make sure to tag me on Instagram if you make your own version at Kim Day Designs. And let's get straight into the video. I actually had a lot of fun making this dress, and it looks really good on. The gown I'm going to be recreating in this video is by a brand called Criss, and it is this beautiful maxi beige gown with a crisscross detail on the neck and a keyhole detail on the front. It is a luxury women's wear brand that has been worn by the likes of Michelle Obama, Rihanna, just to name a few. To make the patterns, I have my sketch ready to guide me. I'll also be working with my basic bodice front and back. I also have my tape measure, fabric scissors, paper scissors, my tiny baby scissors, a marker pen and lots of pins. I also have my pattern master and set square to help me draw my lines when I'm creating the style of this dress, because it has lots of curved and unique lines on the front and on the back as well. So I'm working from my basic bodice plan, which goes from size 6 to 16. I've just cut down to a UK size 10 because that's sort of where my body weight is at the moment. So I have my front and my back, and the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tracing off the front and the back on the fold. So I have one full piece for the front and one full piece for the back, because it's sort of like an asymmetric style. When you do the pattern, you need a full front and a full back in order to connect the shoulder seam together. So once you have your front and your back pieces ready to go, you can go ahead and plan the front of the dress first. I suggest you use a pencil to draw in the style line, how deep you want that crisscross to go, if you want a sharp V, before you go back to commit with a marker pen. Because I'm also working with a stretchy fabric later on in this tutorial, we'll be shrinking parts such as the waist and the bust down by about 1 inch to 1.5 inch. So the first line I'm drawing here is the main neckline, which goes from underarm of one side to the shoulder of the other side, and then I have reduced that shoulder by about 1 inch, and I'm drawing in the bottom of this side of the front. So this is the main part that is going to crisscross to create that detail around the neck, and I always suggest doing this first with a pencil, and when you're sort of sure of the lines, you can go back and refine them with a marker pen and your ruler or pattern master. So next up, I've lifted the waistline up the side like so, because in the original design it sort of has that deepened detail on the front, and to create that keyhole I am just dropping down the waistline even further to the center front fold edge. So this is what the pattern is looking like so far. I just went ahead to mirror it on the other side using dashed lines. This is not really necessary because we will not be using those dashed lines anyways, but I'm just going in here to measure the waistline, and I'm going to be reducing it by 2 inches because that's about how much of my waist that is needed, because the fabric has some stretch. I've also going ahead to reduce the bust line by about 1/2 inch. It just depends on the fabric that you're working with. If you're working with a woven fabric that doesn't have any stretch, you can sort of work with your darts and work with the sizes that it comes with. But I'm just drawing in my center front line like so. I've connected the new edge of the side seam to the skirt, and we will not be using that skirt dart because we've sort of gotten rid of that measurement through the side seam. So now that we have the side of the skirt done, we can go ahead and move that top dart to the side, because I feel like this is going to help to shape the top part of the dress even nicer. So I'm drawing in that mid dart point like so, and then I'm connecting underarm to waistline to, have a full side seam of the dress. Just remember to curve that waistline a little bit. You don't want to have a very sharp corner there. So I'm just measuring how much my dart is so I know how much to transfer to the side seam to create the new dart that we're going to be sewing when we actually cut this pattern on fabric later on in this tutorial. So because we've moved that dart to the side like so, you can go ahead and get rid of the one that is on this side of the garment. And I'm going to be going to the bottom edge of that dart line and extend it by about 1/2 centimeter. It just makes sense because the lower side of this dart is shorter than the upper side, and extending it like that will give you a bit more to stitch in when you're sewing that dart together. So now that we have the main front planned in place, because of how the shoulder and the neckline of this dress is, you actually need to connect the front to the back of the dress along that shoulder point. So I'm going to grab my back pattern like so, and I'm going to be connecting them together just using a clear sellotape so it actually stays put while I continue that shoulder line from the front all the way to the back of the dress. I didn't manage to see what the back of the original dress design looks like, so I'm just going for a very deep neckline that goes from the shoulder all the way to the waistline, so it's like a really sexy detail on the back as well. For the side seam, I'm just transferring the front to the back so we're sure that it actually connects, but just remember to make your back side seam shorter by however much darts that you've put on that front side seam, because by the time you stitch up that dart, the front is going to shrink. So I reduced my back side seam by about 2 centimeters or 0.7 inches. So I'm just connecting that side seam in place so I have my back side seam ready to go. So don't forget to also draw in the center back line as well as the waistline, which already came from the plan anyways. And then for that arm curve, I'm connecting the shoulder all the way to the side. Initially, I wanted to do like a strap going from the shoulder to the back, but I didn't just want to give myself headache, so I just went with a simple back arm curve, simple waistline, and then that really deep V neckline on the back of the dress plan. So this is what the top half of the dress is looking like. Thankfully, I had done something similar in the past, so it wasn't as confusing when I was doing it this time around. So when you're tracing off this pattern, you literally trace the front all the way to the back as one piece. So when you cut it, you cut 2 pieces and then you crisscross it in front to make that detail that the gown has. So now that we have our top half of the dress planned, I'm going to get some fresh pattern paper and trace out that top half. Add a 1 centimeter seam allowance all the way across. Don't forget to add your notches, your darts, your grain lines, and any other information that would help you when you're cutting this onto fabric. For the skirt pieces, I traced off my front skirt and I made it longer to about 40 inches or 102 centimeters. If you want to be able to wear it with heels, you can make this longer so it accommodates the height of your shoes. But because I'm on the shorter side, 40 inches works for me. Don't also forget to add a hem allowance at the end, so if you want to fold this up or attach it to your lining, you have room for that as well. So I repeated the same thing with the back of the skirts. I traced off that waistline, the side, and made it longer to 40 inches or 102 centimeters, adding a 1 cm seam allowance all the way around, including at that center back. So these are the main dress patterns all done. You would end up with 3. When you cut the lining, you literally use the same piece for the top to cut the lining, and then for the skirt you can make the lining shorter by about 2 centimeters, so when it's all joined together it works. In my next tutorial, I'm going to be cutting the pattern pieces onto fabric, putting all the panels together, testing and fitting necessary parts. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on that post notification bell as well, so you'll be the first to know once that video goes live. I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up down below. Let me know your comments, thoughts and suggestions, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.